Hello everyone, my name is Serdal, Marketing Manager at Manus, and I'm here to welcome you to our latest webinar. This webinar will be about Manus Core, demonstrating what Manus Core is and what it can do, and the use cases of our clients and our creators with the use of Manus Core in our hardware. What I will be starting with is our new pricing structure. Afterwards, we will dive into the Manus Core software features to show you what the power of Manus Core really is. And after showing these features, we will have some in-depth use case highlights where our creators tell their stories and how Manus products fits into their projects and how it empowered them in creating what they need to create. So first, let's go to the new pricing structure. Because this year what we did is we have splitted the cost for the hardware and the software, which means that you can purchase our gloves just as a hardware on itself. This is possible for the Manus Prime 2 gloves and the Manus Prime 2 haptic gloves. The Manus Prime 2 Xsense gloves are not available as a standalone hardware because it's a third-party integration. And one of the key things that we want for third-party integrations is that they always work. And if you want it to be integrated inside of Xsense software, you will be needing our Manus Core software too. So as you can see next to me, there is a line of Manus Core with no license. So when you purchase the product, which is shown on the left, you can see the Manus Prime 2, for example, which is available for 1,499 euros without purchasing a license with it. And at the top part, there is also Manus Polygon as a product shown. Manus Polygon is our IK solver, which we will also be showcasing during Manus Core features, because Manus Polygon is a product which comes together with Manus Core and is a key feature for everyone who purchases Manus Core. So when you choose to purchase one of our products, as the Manus Prime 2, for example, you can get it without a license for 1,499 euros, and you can decide to get a Manus Core license together with it. And a Manus Core year license, an annual license, is 499 euros. So the Prime 2 together with 1 year of Manus Core comes for around 2,000 euros. Together with Manus Core, there is also Manus Polygon included, as I mentioned before. So when you purchase Manus Prime 2 glove together with a year license, you will automatically be able to use Manus Polygon. Same is for the Prime 2 haptic, but the Prime 2 haptic has a higher base price. And as I mentioned, the Prime 2 Xsense is not available with a yearly license. What you need for that is a perpetual license of Manus Core, as you can see on the tab that came in right now. The Prime 2 Xsense is available with a Manus Core perpetual license, including Polygon, for 3,990 euros. A Manus Core perpetual license is 1,499 euros. So when you take that together with the Manus Prime 2 glove, that comes to around 3,000 euros for the glove, including the perpetual license. This is the introduction about the pricing structure that we changed. What we tried is to enable smaller content creators to step into the Manus products and see if it fits for them for a year, and afterwards you can decide go for a perpetual license or lengthen your year license again, which gives the creators more flexibility and which, gives you the possibility to get to know the Manus products without going all in directly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my setup quickly, and then I will be right back to show you what Manus Core exactly is and what the software features are. Hello everyone, I'm back. I just set it up everything. Manus Core is running at the moment on my computer. Manus Core is a tray application which runs on the background, and what it basically does is it is our data processing software. And what we mean by data processing is that when you are using a Manus product, for example our gloves, what Manus Core does is it receives all the data and it makes it arranges the data output. So for example, when you're using the Prime 2 Xsense, Manus Core recognizes the glove that you're using and communicates that with Xsense MVN, and then you can stream the data directly from Manus Core into Xsense MVN. But there is also a front end to Manus Core, and that front end is called the Manus dashboard. So what the Manus dashboard does is it lets you interact with Manus Core and make use of its standalone features. So when you're not directly using it inside of your own project, if you have your custom glove integration, for example, that's using the data directly, but you want to see how your gloves work and troubleshoot your gloves and those type of things, all these features are reachable through our Manus dashboard. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. So as you can see behind me, Manus dashboard has started. And the first thing it says is there is no dongle connected. That's because I have my Manus dongle here. And this dongle receives the data from the gloves. I need to plug it in when I want to make use of the software. So now I plugged my Manus dongle in. Let me put on the gloves. As you can see in the tab on the right, 1 second, yes. Here it says that the Prime 2 dongle is connected right now. It says which ID the dongle has, and I can start up my gloves now and pair the gloves to the selected dongle. So with our new gloves, there's a on and off button at the bottom. I just need to give it a small tap and it opens. It starts the glove up. As you can see, my left glove is already connected. And let's put on my right glove. My right glove is also turning on. It needs a few seconds to find the glove, and then it's there. As you can see, the finger spreading data, it needs to calibrate itself, and it needs a few seconds to find its relative position because it's IMU data. And yeah, it just takes a few seconds and it's there, as you can see. So what I can do in Manus Core, the first feature is I can see what my glove data is doing and what my glove data looks like. One of the most important things for that is, of course, you want to know which glove is connected. If you have multiple sets of gloves, I can simply click on my dongle, and under my dongle there are the glove IDs and the glove names, and if it's a left or a right glove, it's written under it. At the same time, I can also check at the bottom which channel I'm connected through, so which wireless channel it is, and if you have interference, you can change this channel to another one to see if the connection is better. And I can see here how well my connection is, and in this case my connection is very good, so I will leave it on the current channel. It's also written which firmware my dongle is working on right now, and what we do is we release patches, firmware patches, which you can update by plugging in the dongle, and this update enhances performance, especially connection problems, for example. If there are bugs or anything, we make sure there are updates which update your dongle and solve these type of problems. As you can see, my gloves are viewable in the left tab, and if I click on a glove, I can see the specific data about that glove. I can see the data strength, I can see the battery life, and also the firmware of the glove, because also the firmware on the glove is updatable. So one of the first things, the glove, of course, it can read what your fingers are doing, but it doesn't know the size of your fingers, of course, and everyone has unique hands. And to solve that, we have our calibration system, and that calibration enables our software to understand what your hand looks like. So what you do is you click either on the visual part or on the name of a glove. For example, my left glove is the one I want to calibrate right now, and there is a button, calibrate glove, at the bottom. I simply click it, and you can start the calibration by clicking this big button. And I want to progress it automatically, which means that I don't have to click in between the steps, which is easier. When I start the calibration, it tells me to make a fist. And now the glove knows what the sensor data is when I completely close my hand. And now I completely open it and close my thumb. And the same is also happening for the open hand situation. The sensors are giving out the data of how what the sensor data is when I completely open my hand, and this is the last step. I have to make a pistol. And now the calibration is saved on the glove, which means that when you take your dongle and your gloves and go to another computer, the calibration will be saved and you don't need to recalibrate again. Simply close this, and now the glove knows better that when I close my fingers that I'm making a fist. Let's see. So this is the first feature of Manus Core, that you can see what your gloves are doing and troubleshoot the data if something is wrong. For example, if you implemented our finger data into your own project and something is going wrong, you don't like the finger tracking or something, what you can do is you can open the dashboard and compare if the problem is with the data. So if the problem is with the data, then you would also see the same issues inside of our data viewer or our hand viewer. And if that's not the case, then it means there is something going wrong between the communication of Manus Core data to your own project. And this is a very useful feature. Let's see. Now what we're going to do is we're going to the next feature, which is Manus Polygon. But what I'm going to do is I need to strap up completely to show you what Manus Polygon completely can do, because we want to make use of the product when I'm explaining it. What I actually forgot is the glove settings in between. Of course, with the complex product that it is, it also needs to come with settings to enable your use specially. So for example, as I told before, when you're making use of the finger spreading data, the IMU data, and you don't want that feature for some reason, you can disable that by simply checking this box, and then the finger spreading disappears, except for the thumb, and then the only thing it does is measuring the bend of the fingers. What I can also do is disable the thumb IMU, which means that you cannot rotate your thumb, but just open and close it. For the ease of use, you can also rotate your hand inside of the viewer, so you have different point of views when you want to see how the gloves are performing. And yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna switch the setup. I'm gonna strap myself in with some trackers and come back to show you exactly what Polygon does, how Polygon works, and afterwards we will also take a look at the recording feature of Manus Core. And yeah, I'll be right back. Hello everyone, as you can see we are back. I'm here with my colleague Quincy. As you can see, we are all strapped up and ready to show you the power of Polygon. In this case, we're making use of Steam VR tracking, and as I explained before, what Polygon does is, according to a few data points, it calculates what the human body is doing and translates that to a full body capture of motion. As you can see, I have two trackers on my hands attached to my Prime 2 gloves. I have a tracker on my head, one on my belt, and one per. My colleague Quincy has a VR headset, two controllers in his hands, a Valve knuckle, and a Vive controller, a tracker on his belt area, and two trackers on his feet. The point is that what we want to show is you can select your data points according to your setup. And Polygon calculates your full body movement according to the setup that you want. You can use controllers, trackers, headset, whatever. And as you can see, we are together in the same Polygon setup. I can show you in the dashboard that there are multiple users. So the top user is me. The user under it is my colleague Quincy, and we can see the trackers that he's making use of, and you can change or do anything with the trackers that you want. As I said, we're making use of a Steam VR setting. In our settings, you can see the tracking system that Manus Core is recognizing, and you can check with a checkbox which tracking system you want to use. So in this case, we're using OpenVR, a Steam VR setting. But for example, there is also an anti-latency tracking system connected to this computer. So I could use anti-latency trackers to do the same thing. Another possibility is the active pucks of OptiTrack, for example. which is popular in like VR arenas and like live big VR settings. Same is for Vicon, the active trackers of Vicon, and of course a recently announced tracking system for ART support. You can also put these on the points, on the data points that we need, and Polygon will calculate what your full body is doing. So as you can see, we can jump, move around, do all kinds of moves. And the beautiful thing is we can also record this, of course, because one of the features that Manus Core brings with itself is the FBX recorder. What I can do is I can simply go to the recording tab. And inside the recording tab, I can select which users I want to record. And in this case, me and Quincy are selected. I can select the frames per second, and I simply press record button. And then I just record what we are doing. And that's it. I simply press the stop button, and then I can view the recording itself, which I will show you in my next setup, because now I'm recording a different screen. The useful thing about this is Manus Core allows you to allocate data to a certain user. And that user allocation can be forwarded with our plugins to your Unity or Unreal project. So that means that according to the requirements that you have per user, you can implement Polygon data per user in your own project, which gives you a lot of variability and a lot of possibilities in your personal development. I hope you guys enjoyed the Polygon show, and I will take these trackers off, and I will be right back to show you the tracking possibilities and the FBX recording that we just did. So see you in a bit. So I'm back. I took my trackers off, and I'm ready to show you guys the FBX recording possibilities. As you have seen before, we already recorded our Polygon usage with multiple users, but I just realized that I was blocking the view of the control panel of our recorder, so we're doing this again. It's a good opportunity because now I can show you also that you can do standalone glove tracking recording. Now inside Manus dashboard, our interface for Manus Core, there is a recording tab. In that recording tab, you can select which product you want to record the FBX data of, record the movement of, and export as FBX file. So in this case, I checked the gloves, and in the Polygon demo, we checked both users and unchecked the glove. And I can select the FPS that I want to record with. If I want to record the mesh or the wrist rotation, which I can turn off, and then I just track finger data. And I can select if I want keyframe reduction. I can select obviously where to save the video of the recording file, and there is a big red button for recording, which I blocked in my previous recording. So I just move my fingers, and the recording obviously records what I'm doing. So what I want to do now is I want to show you guys the recording that we just made with Quincy. So for that, I'm opening the FBX recorder like this, and it's already playing. Let's go to the beginning. Oh, it's not that user-friendly, but as you can see, the mesh has been recorded, the skeleton data has been recorded, and you can see me and Quincy simultaneously doing our movements and everything being recorded. So these are the recording possibilities with Manus Core. And as I mentioned before, we also have the possibility to select the tracking data that you prefer to. And our system recognizes which type of tracking you have connected to your computer. And it adds it to the settings tab where you can select which tracking you want to make use of. And we're constantly working on adding more support for different type of tracking systems. So we help, with this integration, we help you with the orientational setup of the trackers and help you easily put Manus gloves attached to the tracking system in your custom projects. This was it with the features. So as a short summary, we have a glove data viewer and troubleshooting tab. There is a Polygon tab to generate full body data from a few data points, our IK solver. There is a FBX recorder feature, and there is multiple tracking system support. And now what we're going to do is we're going to switch to showcase part of our webinar, where we will show you the experience of our creators and what they have done and how they have implemented Manus Core, Manus Gloves into their existing project. I'm really excited, and I would like to start with the showcase of the people at ZDF. They have a beautiful project, and I would love to show you guys their story behind the creation. So have fun.
Yes, of course. My name is Mario Hill. I'm a 3D artist and motion designer, and I'm responsible at ZDF Digital for motion capturing, face capturing, and hand tracking.
Yeah. And I'm Christian Michelmann, and I'm the head of the motion design, and yeah, we're working on all kinds of animations, but in the last few years we're specializing on motion capturing to enhance our products for digital reenactments, for characters, for all kinds of things. We're doing also a lot of visual effects and combining that together with all the characters. So recently we had in Germany the 30th year of the reunification of Germany, of West and East Germany. So we had a big project of a lot of short animated movies. And there was one movie we both decided to do. It was about a little girl in East Germany, and yes, it's the first time she came to West Germany and saw all the toys and all the different things. And the big part of the story was when she was little in East Germany, she could decide because there were 3 sorts of ice cream. You had vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate, and now she had so many things to decide. So we choose it because we want to show a child's view of the story, and we decided to do it in a stylized way, in a kind of like a Pixar character, but not at the big production company. Just 2 guys doing it in our company. So we want to show our best we can do.
So we have a workflow with Xsense and Reolution, iClone, and Character Creator for some time. Yeah, after we recording in MDN with the Manus close together, we exporting an FBX file, or we stream it live. That's also possible with our workflow directly in Reolution, iClone. First, we create our character in Character Creator 3 in Reolution. Afterward, we go to iClone, and we have our avatar, our character, and streaming live from MBN and Manus, or we make a file, an FBX file, and bring it to iClone. It's also possible. And then we can fix also a little bit movements, and then we come to facial expressions together, and then we can export it from that also as an FBX and go to another pipeline. We work with Maxon Cinema 4D, and then we can render out.
Well, before we used in iClone, we have ready standard gestures. So like gestures we always use in hands closed and this. And most of the time we just pick those gestures because it was a time saving, but it wasn't the result we wanted. So right now we just record it. It's ready to go, and if there isn't any trouble, we're fine with it, and it's done after the recording. And before we were like we said, we aren't any character artists, so it was quite difficult to do it. But now we can achieve the result without thinking about it, without keyframing. So it's a big time saver for us, because we're more like generalists in different departments, but we didn't have a character animator in our team. So after the recording, we're ready to go. We just transfer the movement to the character and we're done.
I think the little movements from a normal human that we can recording now, this is also the difference. When you keyframe it by your hand, you need so many time to figure out how will be the movement in the little movements in the fingers when you have a scene when you give your hand or have some hand movements, and then when we have the Manus close, all this little data will be directly keyframed, and we can directly use it afterwards when we find some issues. Okay, but in our past, what we're recording, we are absolutely happy with this result, that we don't need to make so many time in these little movements.
Well, our main page is on LinkedIn, ZDF Digital. Yeah. So we have also a Facebook page, but for all the business things and most stuff we post and all the fun stuff we do, follow us on LinkedIn. That's our main channel.
Yeah.
Next up, what we're going to have a look at is Nick Bauer, another amazing creative who does everything on his own. And I don't want to explain too much. I just want to show you guys the amazing stuff that he creates, because you will not believe that he does this on his own with the use of just Xsen suit and Manus gloves. Enjoy, please.
Hey everybody, my name is Nick. I'm a 3D artist, digital creator, and I got a background in VFX and motion graphics, and I'm going to be showing you a little bit about how I'm using the Manus VR gloves, particularly the Xsen's version of the Manus VR gloves, and ultimately getting the motion back into something like Cinema 4D. And yeah, we're gonna just look at a couple projects that I've been doing, short video clips with character animation that I'm pretty excited to do and that are pretty fun to do, that Manus gloves actually add a whole lot more detail to. So. Yeah, so this one was pretty fun to work on. The character is a digital character, and then the motion is being driven by the Xsen's Link suit and the Manus VR gloves. And this comes from the awesome ability to be able to use the Xsen's Link suit in combination with the Manus VR gloves, which has been amazing. It just adds this level of detail to characters and to projects that otherwise beforehand you would never be able to get. So they say hands are in many ways like the eyes. They're as expressive as the eyes, and so hands are so expressive in terms of just the additional nuance of detail that you can get in your characters, and so that's been great in using the Manus VR gloves. So. Yeah, so again, these are pretty short and sweet, but it's the same principle. I'm driving the motion by wearing a suit and the gloves, and you're able to get sort of like additional fidelity, like her hand motion toward the end of the thing. If you notice it here at the end, you get finger detail, which a move like that, like finger animation like that, can be kind of a pain in the ass if you're doing it manually. But what's great about Manus is that it's all motion captured, and it's in combination. I'm using it in combination with the body capture, which is awesome. Yeah, so this scene is super fun to work on. Similar principle to the future HUD one. You know, you have a holographic sort of world that's scaled up. You have a character kind of wondering, whoa. And, you know, the nice thing is just the hands, you know, and using the hands to sort of grab objects and, you know, illustrate some sort of like interactive environment. It becomes super valuable to get that hand fidelity in there. So why don't we, yeah, I'll let that one, yeah, we'll pause this one. And yeah, so I can show you a little bit of the Cinema 4D file of this one and show you a little bit about how I made it. So here we are in Cinema 4D. Essentially, we have our character here, we have the shot, and as you can see here, this skeleton and the hands are all they're all coming from the rig that is generated when you do your capture session. So when you do your capture session, you're given essentially what nets out of capture sessions is generally an FBX file, which is a rig, which is this right here, which is all of the limbs and joints of a biped human. So we have, you know, as you can see in, you know, in the hands here, we have all of the joints of the thumbs and the fingers, all you know, all mapping essentially perfectly to her motion. So that's really great, and it's awesome to just not have to do that manually, because doing it manually is just a lot of work, especially for hands with all of the joints that are in the hands. So anyway, so essentially you have this that comes through as a rig. And then you need to do what's called binding. And in order to show you that, I can set up just a little top level thing about how I do that. I'll open up a separate file here, and I'll import one of these. These are essentially the FBX files that come out of your capture sessions. And I'm doing my capture sessions in MVM Animate Pro, which is Xsense's software. They make the body link suit, but you can also use that in combination with the Manus VR gloves, which is great. And essentially, you perform your takes in this software, and you get essentially this, which is your rig. And so here you have hips, the right leg, all the joints. And how this comes in, it comes in as the first frame is a T-pose, right? And let's play this back over here. Yeah, for some reason that's not playing back quickly, but essentially this is the entire take, right? So this is a whole long take I did with the hands, and as you can see, the hands are all moving. It's pretty great. And so in this case, you know, I've already gone through and I've bound the character, and I have reworked the weights so the joints all, you know, look more or less correct on this character. And then you'll notice in this scene I have a little bit of like handheldness to the camera move, and for that I use a plugin called Grayscale Gorilla Cam. And what this is it's a plugin made by Grayscale Gorilla that allows you to add a little bit of subtle imperfection to camera moves. And so, and you can design like your own presets and like shake, value, and amount. So I use that, and it works out really great. I use like this custom made one where I have some of these values set to just shake just a little bit, and just adds a little bit of imperfection to the camera move. And you can also define a camera path and those sorts of things to just make it feel a little bit more real. So that's pretty great. And then there's also, you know, there's a whole process I go through with like rendering this stuff, which is maybe I use Octane a lot, which is here. See if I can just like queue this up in the render view real quick. See how long this will take to get this in the render view, but yeah, essentially like this is the render fidelity. So like for the hollow material, see if I can pull. Where is that guy? Yeah, so the hollow material, the hologram material. But yeah, that's just a little bit of an overview of like how I'm creating these. These are super fun to create. Manus gives a lot more control and detail that I was really never able to get until I started using these gloves. And yeah, if you guys want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at I am Nick Bauer. And thanks so much for checking out the content. And I'll see you guys soon.
Yes, as I told you, this guy makes amazing stuff. I'm always excited to see the work that he delivers. The video that we're gonna have a look at right now is one of our colleagues, actually, Arsene, our product manager. What he did is he used our software to make a gesture recognition software himself, and he's gonna explain you how he did it and how Manus Core works exactly in that workflow. Again, let's just have a view, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this too.
Hi everyone, I'm Arsene Vanderbilt. I'm a product specialist at Manus. I've been working at Manus for a little over 5 years now in various roles. And as a technical guy, but not as a programmer, I was really interested to see what you can do with the Manus Core software. So I've had a couple of colleagues who thought about or experimented with machine learning. And one of the things I thought would be very interesting to do is see if I could set up a machine learning system myself by using a couple of our plugins as well as some third-party software. So this video will be showing what I made as a short prototype and explaining how I did it and how you could yourself set up such a system, or like in general explain how you can use data that the gloves produce. So first off, as you can see, this is the dashboard. And inside of the dashboard, you have the 3D view, and you also have the data view. And this data view shows you the different kinds of like finger data that the gloves provide. You can use this data raw. So these are, for example, 0 to 1 values for different kind of things. So for bending of your fingers, bending of different segments, spreading, or you could use the process data. So in this case, projected on a digital hand. Now, what I made is a simple Unity application using our Unity plugin that consumes this same kind of data. So this 0 to 1 value data that you see in the dashboard is the same data that you see in this small application. And it's just using the finger bend information from my left glove. And what this application is doing, it is taking this data and it is making it available over OSC. And OSC is a very simple protocol originally, or like the meaning of OSC is Open Sound Control. And it's a very simple protocol for making data available between applications. And inside of Unity, there is no official support, but I found someone who made a plugin for it that was pretty easy to implement, and I extended the plugin itself, because originally it only supported 4 or 5 different values that you could send, and well, as you can see, for a hand you have definitely more than 4 or 5 values. You have an application and you can input OSC data into it, and you can calibrate different kinds of values that it will then output. So using all of this data, I made a list of different kinds of output, so to say. So for example, I have a 1, and I did 1 a couple of times. I set this value to 1, and then I would record it after doing all of that for all these different poses. So it's 1, 2, 3. The Kung Fu chop is the fingers together, ready to attack someone. Rock and roll, an OK pinch, or a small cylindrical grip and a large cylindrical grip. A claw, so a claw. And a pinch where you hold your fingers a little bit open, as if you are holding a physical prop. All of these poses I recorded one by one. I let it train, and then it will calculate the likeliness with certain input data, and then I visualize that in Unreal. So inside of Unreal, I set up a OSC server. So Unreal, more or less by default, has the ability to receive OSC data. You can create an OSC server which can receive data. This is the port that this application outputs to. And then I set this as a a destination as a for the server. So this happens once, and then on every tick or on every time the animation blueprint updates, it uses this information. If it is valid, it will spawn a different event. And this event is if there is a OSC message received. So what OSC does, it sends a bunch of messages with data inside of it. And then I do something for the data that I get. Resize this a little bit so you can see a little bit more. This is like a switch case with all the different kinds of poses that I showed you here. And for each of those values that you get in this message array or message, there's another word for it, combined message, it will define a specific value. So for example, the 1 or the 2 or the etc., all of those are set into a specific value that I can then use in the animation graph. And I also played around with some other options, like comparing. I'll explain this later. So all of these values are set, and then I had a small script to spam console messages whenever I did 1, for example, or 2 during testing. Then in the animation graph, what it does essentially is it takes this value, so these all of those values that you saw here, variables, it uses that, and then it has a animation that it blends with. So all of these are blend nodes, and they're the same amount as you saw poses in the machine learning application. And it blends between them. So if it thinks that the 1 pose is very likely, then it will blend this animation on top of the rest, and it will go through it, blah, blah, blah. All of them will be blended. Here in this animation graph, you see all of these different animations. And what I did beforehand is in 3ds Max, I set up a couple of poses. So 20 different poses that it will cycle through. So this is like a reference pose. Next one is pointing. Second one is 2. Then let me see, 3, and a pinch with the fingers not punching, so holding something. And these poses in this model I exported into Unreal, and I set up the animations so I can blend between them. And next up, we will see this data inside of the small application I made to send this data. Then in this application, I will turn it on. And as you can see, like when I am doing, let me make this a little bit, make this a little bit better. So inside of this Unreal application, it is now visualizing, is now visualizing all these values. So if I do a 1, if I do a 2, if I do a 3, like as I mentioned before, sometimes it blends between 2 different poses. That's why it doesn't look perfect right now. The other 3, it's also blending between this and the fist. It's not perfect, but as you can see, it's working pretty well. And the main reason that it doesn't look well is not because the data is bad, it's just I didn't prioritize which pose is more important. The shaka. The main thing to show is that with the glove data that you get, it's let me find the application. It is like very simple to use this kind of data. You have 0 to 1 values for each individual joint, and you can just use some kind of application that like can process this data. It's very useful. You don't only have to use the animation data that you get from the skeleton. You can also reapply it if you have a workflow or if you have a pipeline where you want to do something entirely different. You don't have to rely on this visualization. If you have a rig in Maya or if you have a rig somewhere else and you are just using 0 to 1 values to control your rig, if you can make a small plugin to send this glove data over OSC or through another protocol with the SDK into your 3D application, you can just use it to control your rig in your editor in real time. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
So that was the tool created by Arsène, our product manager, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. These were the use cases that we are going to highlight today, and in the coming days on our socials, we will share more and more use cases because the things that we see people create with our gloves are amazing, and we are very excited to share more and more. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change the setup to get ready for the Q&A. If you have any questions, please leave them in the chat, and we'll answer all of them during the live Q&A. Thank you, and see you in a bit.